Hi YouTube, this is Jarl DM. I'm going to be running part 4 of the Horns of Cerunnos, the fucking Viking game. So I'll get my players to introduce themselves and their characters. Go ahead, whoever.
All right, I'll go first. My name is Troy, DMT Tabletop Gaming. I'm playing a character named Frey Soren, otherwise known as Sori, and she is a female assassin.
I'm Christopher Carasella. I'm playing Alessandra Drat, a cleric that likes to play with some undead stuff.
I am Andrew Speaks with Animals Nap. I'm playing Reinveld, level 4 Human Paladin.
Hi, I'm Dennis. I'm playing Vidar. He's basically a half-giant Viking, and he also has some affinity with animals, being a pack master, though he doesn't have any cool things like an owl.
All right, so last time we played, the guys found a magical glade and freed it from the influence of the Fae. Um, and then proceeded to sit around and enjoy the fruits of this glade. Um, and while they were doing so, it was made clear to them that a powerful sorcerer who has been hired by the Jarl was scrying on them and was hearing everything they were saying, and they had been plotting against said Jarl. And when this information was revealed to them, they continued to plot openly about the possible double and triple cross that they were going to commit. So they had just left the glade and had not really made a decision about where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. So that falls on you guys now. So let's say you're just leaving the glade, and as soon as you step out of the glade, the heat kind of vanishes and you're back in the snow, and the wind picks up immediately as you leave.
So all that comforts that we had received from being in that haven is quickly past, and the doom that is upon us is becoming clear.
The cold, hard light of day.
And we've left Rangvald's fellow member of his order back at the glade to protect it.
Yeah, Halgrim has become keeper of the glade.
So it's just the four of us, and we have horses. So we need to determine where we're going to go. I don't think we've actually come to a decision at this point, but we can head in the general direction of both places, correct? They're both to the south or to the east.
They're both in pretty much the same direction. At one stage, you'll have to turn basically left or right.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to pack up my horse or whatever thing I'm riding, and I'm going to head in that direction. I'm going to take the front. I'm not going to talk to Ragvold because I'm still kind of upset about his loose tongue and the potential situation that he's gotten us into, because he did most of the talking.
So it'll probably take you about a week to get back to the point, to the fork in the road, basically, where you choose between the two. So you've got quite a bit of time to decide what you're actually going to do. So any ideas on what you plan to actually do?
Well, as they exit the grove, Vidar actually finds the returning of the cold welcoming the glade a little hot for his taste, as he prefers the cold. And much like Sari, as the journey first begins, he gives a whistle, sending Thor, his hound, up ahead, and begins moving without speaking, taking some time to think over their discussions and what has occurred and knowing what is ahead. Probably that night when they make camp is when he would broach the subject with the others, if no one has done so before, as to what their destination will be and what they should do.
We also had these... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'll saddle up the horse and begin to follow also. Quiet, deep in thought, contemplating on what we should do.
All right. So you guys ride through the snow. That herd of gigantic cows is no longer there. It's obviously moved on somewhere. Um, but you go through, it's quite pleasant scenery. It's snowing lightly. It's not blizzarding or anything like that, which is pretty nice change. It's not raining. Um, it's definitely cold though. And as you make camp on your fourth night, late into the night, um, you hear a howl in the distance, quite a loud howl. Um, you definitely recognize it, even in the pitch black. The night is very cloudy, and even from this distance, you can tell that that was not a normal wolf.
Maybe a timber wolf. Maybe a Donnerolf wolf. Okay, I am. We're all awakened by this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
It's loud enough that you can feel it like in your chest. You know, like as you're standing next to like a bassy speaker at a concert, you can feel it rumble in your chest.
All right, so I'm going to wrap my wolfskin cloak around my shoulders, further, shielding the color of my undergarments, making me dark against the night sky, and I'm going to attempt to stealthily slink back into the brush to make myself unseen.
Gotcha. So currently, I'm going to say that you guys are around a fire. You've got your tents and stuff set up. So you move outside of the light of the fire.
Most definitely, yes.
I
Okay.
would sleep without a tent.
Mhm.
I just sleep on the open ground, bare, no blanket.
It's a quick way to get hypothermia, my friend.
Yeah, the leaves and the dirt.
Given his size and his affinity for the cold, Vidar would actually sleep outside as well.
So you hear this howl, and it doesn't really sound like a normal wolf. And then not too long later, you see them. Sorry, you would see them first. It's a pack of wolves start to basically surround your position. It's about 20 of them, coming out of the darkness, kind of within sight of your fire. Um, Black coats of the wolves contrasting with the snow. They stop at the edge of the fire, about 20 feet away from all of you. Sorry, there's some actually pretty close to where you are, and they all have their teeth bared and they're snarling.
I start to paw at the dirt and lick myself and snap.
And then you see it appear. Huge wolf walks out between the others. It's as tall as a horse, and its footsteps kind of thud in the snow. It's got this black mane, which is lightly covered in snow, and yellow eyes that are glowing. And it curls back its lips in a snarl, and again, you can feel the rumble of it in your chest.
Vidar will signal for his hound to heel to stay by where he was laying as he leaves his axe. He kind of rolls his shoulders as he begins approaching the large beast, slowly and cautiously.
You see Sori as Vidar approaches the large wolf, reach into her side pouch and pull out a small vial. She uncorks it and starts slowly putting a little droplet of this substance on 3 arrowheads, and she lays them out in front of her. Has one cocked and ready, trained upon the largest of the beasts that have approached.
So
In
go ahead.
in giant, I say to Vidar, "Yidakitakahuya." Is that a thunderwolf?
Which I'm guessing from what I've seen of that I would know that that is one.
Yeah, for sure.
I take a pouch, and you can hear like stones rattling around inside of it. And I'm going to cast them in front of me and look at the runes on them. And with a smile on my face, I slap the back of Vidar, and I say, Odin smiles upon you. That wolf shall be yours. And I cast heroism on him. So you can't be frightened, Vidar, and from now until the spell ends, you gain two temporary HP a turn.
Very nice. The wolf, the large wolf, the thunder wolf, kind of takes a step forward, and it snarls, kind of rumbles a growl. You can see in its eyes that it's definitely intelligent and knows what you guys are up to. You can sense the magic that just happened as well. You definitely see like a flicker of recognition when you throw the stones and you cast a spell.
Vidar absolutely reaches up with one hand to touch his chest at the rumble as he continues forward, slowly sticking his hand out as he goes. His fingers slightly curled, not forming a fist, but not fingers fully extended.
It pads towards you, and you can see some of the other wolves getting a bit nervous at the situation. There's a couple of kind of snarled barks. And this thing takes a step forward and sniffs at your hand. And then it bites your hand. So I'm just going to say it bites you. I'm not going to roll for it or anything. So it snaps its jaws around your gigantic hand with its gigantic mouth. And it hurts a lot.
Basically, Vidar does whatever he can to try not to flinch or pull back or cry out in pain. Just take it as he watches the beast.
And Soria's got this arrow knocked and ready. I'm going to have the action readied for Vidar to make an aggressive, offensive maneuver towards this beast. Until that time, I'm just got the arrow trained on it, ready to fire if I need to.
Gotcha. Okay. Seeing you react in the way that you did, it lets go of your hand. And then it sits down and cocks its head to the side. And then it gets up and it walks around in a circle. And then it kind of snarls in the direction of the wolves, and they start to back away. And it sits down again and looks at you and just cocks its head to the side.
So I give just kind of a swipe of my hand to spray that splashed the blood over the snow as I again cautiously approach it once it sits down and reach out a hand.
Yeah, it doesn't move away and it doesn't go to attack.
So I kind of move my fingers in its fur, stroking and scratching along the neck and along its side.
Mm-hmm. It gets back up, and with teeth bared for a second, and then they go away, and then it just kind of nudges you with its head, and then it sits down again, and then it lies down.
Vidar watches it for a few moments, blood still dripping from his hand in the snow, and then he moves back over to where his bedroll was and gets into his pack and gets some dried meat and tosses it over to the creature.
It kind of, and then like gulps it up, and then kind of looks at you and like nods, kind of. But that can't be a thing that a wolf would do. But it seems to nod in your direction. And then it kind of walks around in a circle for a little bit, the way that a dog would, and then sits down, lies down in the snow, seemingly comfortable now.
So with a grin on his lips, he turns and looks at the others, giving a slight shrug, seeming to have found a new friend. Goes
Um,
back to his bedroll.
the hound that you own is definitely very nervous. It's got its ears flattened, tail between its legs, and it's kind of backing away from this horse-sized wolf. Um, and kind of it was at your side, and it kind of been padding away. And seeing that you're not concerned, it kind of walks over and doesn't really know how to act around this gigantic creature, but goes over and hesitantly kind of, and then it sits down next to it. So the rest of the night passes relatively uneventfully. You do hear some more howls in the forest, um, but nothing approaches you. So yeah, morning comes, and it's getting close to the time where you need to make a decision as to where you actually want to go.
I'm going to say to the group that we need to find out the loyalties of the sorcerer. We know nothing about him, only that he rode into town with the Jarl. We need to find out if he has went to the Jarl, and if so, if that's going to cause us problems going forward. If we're to enter his hold, will we be doing it with spears at our throats?
So as Sori is saying this, I think, are you listening still, Bellator?
No response.
All right. So Alessandra looks at Sori and says, I tried to see if he was listening. It doesn't seem like he is right now. Though he may not want us to know.
Reinvald is off in a corner, kind of pissing into these bushes. The heat of the urine is like sizzling in the snow, and you can see steam rising. He's like jostling his trousers, and he says, "One way to assure that our reception is not met with ill will might be to procure something to take back as a gift." And I zip.
Actually, that morning, Vidar would have gotten up early and gone hunting, and if successful, would be finalizing cooking whatever he was able to catch for the group. Wanting a fresh, warm meal is the fate of what lies ahead is unsure,
Oh
given what
yeah,
choices they have. So while he's finishing that up and then begins cutting off pieces to give to everyone, uh, that may well be sound if we can bring something of importance back to him.
What do you suggest as a trophy? What would the Jarl want? We've done nothing. We've only spoken out of turn. We've done nothing. Our actions do not make us criminals. Only Rangvald running his mouth and saying lunacy. Surely that won't cost us our heads. But what can we provide the Jarl as a gift to regain his faith, if indeed the sorcerer has turned heel on us? Any suggestions, brothers, sister?
I walk over to a rucksack laying on the ground, and from it I remove an iron shackle, a manacle, and I hold it in the air and I say, "An Alfir, living."
Because we have provided him with the dead body, right? We dragged one back earlier.
yeah.
A living elf. What would he do with such a thing? Surely it would be able to provide information that the Jarl might find of value. Rangvold, finally you say something that makes sense.
I got a good night's sleep. And with that, I walk over and kneel down next to the fire and start drinking something, probably coffee from a pot.
So how do you guys, how should we go about this? Are we just going to walk in or should we try to lure one out?
Well, it would likely be prudent to let Sori handle the stealthier aspect. She's a cold-hearted bitch, but she knows one thing: espionage.
Well, I can be quiet. We know where they linger. We burnt down one of their prized trees. This would have been, what, 2 weeks ago?
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'm sure we could backtrack to that area where we had that encounter with the centaur 2 weeks prior. I have no problem with leading a trip into the woods to try and find one of these elfer. Now, hopefully we don't come across any of these beasts, these four-legged beasts of the hunt that ran us out of the woods the last time. But yet, maybe we can procure one of those. Surely that would be a greater prize than the elf, which he's already seen. Maybe we can bring him something new. People like new gifts, don't they?
Aye, they do. I dump my coffee in the fire. You can hear it sizzle. And I turn and say, well, my vote is we go into the woods, and we let Sori lead the whole expedition. After all, last time I had my say, we almost got killed by a centaur.
Alright, so how far are we from the from our known location of the last time we went into the woods, Mr. DM?
So if you were going to go to that fork in the road, if you just go straight, the forest is pretty much there. The forest is between the two Jarls.
Alright, so we do have to go past Dunneruff lands to get to the forest entrance?
Kind of. I mean, it's more his than the other Jarls for sure, but it's kind of a no man's land.
Alright, so if I'm leading this expedition, I'm going to be flanking as far away from, what I would perceive to be his patrolled lands as possible, even though I probably don't know. But as far as his hold, I'm going to do like a, circumvent as much as I can to get to where we need to go without being obviously walking down the road in his lands.
Yep, no problem. So you guys make your way in that direction. Probably take you another day or two to get there. And on the second day, probably just around noon, you see in the sky approaching something. So, it looks like a very large bird. Actually, looks like a flock of very large birds.
Are we talking like geese, or are we talking rocks here?
Not quite rocks, but definitely like large eagles. Looks like from here. It's basically black dots at this stage, but it's big. Whatever they are.
Right. So I do a little, little hand gesture to make sure everyone sees what's incoming. We don't have any. I don't personally have any history with large giant egos, so I'm not really. I don't really know what to think about it. So I'm just going to make myself as least visible as possible.
It's not actually something you would be familiar with. Like you wouldn't have seen. There aren't like mythical animals around that are giant eagles. It's not like a normal or even an unusual occurrence. It's nothing you've heard of before. They get closer and you see that it's actually men with these large white feathery wings flying through the air in your direction. 9 of them.
Devilry.
Yeah, this is spooking me out. So I'm definitely going to be trying to stealthily get into the under foliage of the trees to try to make myself unseen.
They approach like incredibly quickly and they land Superman style on the ground, kicking up loads of dust, and you see that they're actually wearing these incredibly ornate golden suits of armor with like musculature carved into the breastplate, and they're wearing masks, all of them wearing golden masks, and they look. Why is that not working? Come on. Well, looks like they don't look like anything because screen share isn't working. Oh, what the hell was that? Okay, well, they're wearing these golden masks, um, covering their whole faces, of like quite a serious, but very handsome man. Um, and they have these sort of like halos, but they're metallic, like gold. It's not like an actual halo, kind of like a sun sticking out from these masks, and they land around you guys. They each have this kind of long bladed polearm, um, and they stand up in unison. And one of them just literally stands up and very in a sort of booming voice says, "Under the auspices of Jarl Donnerulf and Ignis Bellator, you are commanded to return to Dunarsholm."
Well, as these creatures land, Vidar's got his large axe over one shoulder. He briefly lifts the other hand as the debris from the snow and the dirt kick up. Then he lowers it, staring at them with this unimpressed look, and glances to the others and then to the road, the direction that they were going. Uh, that's the direction that we were moving in.
The guy who spoke takes off his mask and his helmet. He shakes out this long, luxurious, curly blonde hair. Guy is impossibly handsome. Looks just the most incredibly beautiful person you've ever seen. And he says, "There needs to be no trouble here. We've been tasked with collecting you. Now follow us back to Donnerolf's home."
So you're going to be giving us a ride then?
You will ride, and we will fly.
Well, I don't currently have a mount, so...
Then you
Are
will
you...
walk, half-breed.
Well, suppose that will work then.
Me and my compatriots were thinking of taking a stroll in the woods.
A stroll in the woods. Are you aware of what lurks in the woods?
Oh, we're aware. We plan on retrieving something, a gift, for the Jarl.
I would urge caution. The Jarl and Bellator and several of the Jarl's best men went into the woods not long ago and returned badly beaten.
We heard. We also thought that the beaten Jarl might appreciate something of a living offering. And I hold up the manacles and I shake them. Here, ting, 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 ting.
Guy lets out like this sort of musical laugh. Well, I cannot deny your valor or your courage. Very well, you have a day. If in a day you are not here on your way to Donner's home, we will find you and we will drag you there.
I think
Very
that is
well.
more than gracious.
With no more ceremony, they just leap into the air and fly.
All right, we should get to work then. I looked at Vidar, who's also a pretty good tracker, I would imagine, from my experience with traveling with him. And I'm going to, ask him to go in one direction and I'm going to go in the other. And say, we can do a call to one another if we find any tracks that would lead to our prize that we're looking for, whether that be Elfer or Centaur. So I'm immediately going to start using my abilities to track and see if I can come across any more of these ancient trees that look like they might be of ritual value, or any of the creatures themselves.
Okay, go for it.
You want me to roll like investigation or something?
Survival or investigation are both fine.
Verdar will do the same, and he'll also, have his hound send him a little ways ahead
Hmm.
to scout it as well. Look for a familiar scent.
So the hound legs it, keen to impress into the forest, and the large wolf kind of lazily thuds off after him.
Or 11. My investigation. So I started looking through the trees to see if I could find any tracks or semblances of passing or people
You can
lingering
see
around.
lots of animal tracks, but not any trace at all of anything other than an animal. Nothing even close.
Yeah, I'll try.
So it's
I
So
got
at
a
this
12
point-
and my hound got a 12.
Mhm. Hound is looking around, can't get a scent, and you can't really see anything that leads you towards any sort of alpha.
Alessandra's going to cast Detect Evil and Good on herself.
Nice. And what's the
And
range
it-
on that? 60, is it?
30.
30. Okay.
Yep, only 30 for Fae Fiend, and then 30 feet for Consecrated or Desecrated Grounds also.
Right, so you guys are pretty much right on the edge of the forest, right? You haven't gone too far in, so. So do you intend to go further, to delve deeper?
Yes. And as soon as I pick up on something, I want to I'm gonna kind of cuckoo like a bird noise. So Sori, you'll know that we're within 30 feet of something.
Yeah.
Because I think she's gonna kind of slink off.
All right, so you guys move through the forest slowly, carefully, keeping an eye out, and it's not long, probably about an hour of kind of slowly picking through and looking for tracks and stuff before you see a hoof print, very large, definitely not made by an elk or anything like that. You don't detect anything nearby. You don't see anything alive nearby, but it's definitely the beginning of a track.
Are there any of those trees that they use for teleporting nearby? The same kind of tree that the Alfred stepped out of previous engagement with them?
You don't see one
Mhm.
at the moment.
Vidar will kneel down next to the track and call the hound over, indicating for it to sniff to see if it will pick up a scent.
It runs over and it points in one direction and starts to move off in that way.
So, while we're following the hound, kind of creeping after it, I'm going to whisper to Alessandra. So, Alessandra, does being in your order mean you took a vow of celibacy? And I'm just kind of like cracking through the leaves.
No, I did not take a vow of celibacy. She whispers back, but I don't think this is the time to discuss it. You horn
What
dog.
better place to talk about sowing oats than the forest? And the branches are like swatting me in the face as I'm like swimming through them.
Do you suggest we stop here and mate?
I stop walking. One of my eyes gets like really large as the other two in the hound continue walking. I could use some more sons. Odin has decreed I sow my wild oat.
Oh hell no! She keeps walking away. I ain't having your child.
My shoulders kind of like slump forward. I shake it off. I keep walking.
So as you guys are walking, an arrow thuds into a nearby tree.
Cuckoo!
I immediately break for the woods on the opposite side of the hound that was doing the sniffing of the tracks, and I'm going to pull out my arrow again, the same one that I had laced with the poison earlier. Immediately, scouring to the woods in the general direction that the arrow would come from, and see if I can see anything, spot anything.
Cool. Give me a perception check.
Very cool. I do have good perception. Oh, I can't roll anything. All right, I got a 9, so yeah. Sun's in my eyes.
Yeah.
Can't see shit. I just know the general direction. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, pretty much. You look in the direction, you don't see anything at all. And then an arrow whizzes towards you. What's your AC, sorry?
15.
Oh, okay. An arrow thuds into you, in fact. Doing 9 points of damage.
Alright, so that pierces through my arm that I still had extended from the shot that I had shot, or when I was looking into the woods, so the arrow came and protruded, stuck into my arm.
So Vidar is going to kind of try to duck down, kneeling behind a tree as he's trying to look to see the direction. By now, with the 2 shots, it seems like he'd have a pretty good idea of the direction, so he's going to be trying to spot someone or something.
Mm-hmm.
Alessandra would up too and put her back to a tree.
Good call. The wolf starts to snarl, and so does your hound immediately afterwards, like he's trying to match the wolf.
I got a 21 on my perception.
Okay, yeah, you can see a figure in the upper branches of a tree with a bow kind of pointed, and he's currently knocking an arrow. It's an elfer. And he's got this sort of skull-like mask on and antlers coming from it.
About how high up in the tree is he?
Probably about 20 feet high.
And is the tree, is it like a big tree?
Yeah, I mean, most of the trees when you get towards the middle of the forest are really quite large. So this is quite a big one. Like it'll take a few chops to get it down for sure.
Alessandra stands up with her back to the tree still and says out now for stop. We've come to discuss our surrender terms to you.
So it points the arrow in
We
your
go
direction.
on. And she puts down her mace on the ground and holds her hands up in the air, weaponless.
I say
Our
to
Jarl knows
Alessandra,
that we cannot defeat you.
I like bark out to Alessandra. I thought you said you didn't want to get fucked.
So the
So
elfer,
she's standing there with her hands in the air.
he kind of turns his head and relaxes the string of the bow and puts the arrow into the quiver on his hip. And then he kind of...
I'll cast Hold Person on him.
All right.
Let's see. He needs to make a wisdom saving throw or be paralyzed.
Okay, I think he fails. What's the DC?
14.
Yeah. Okay, so he falls out of the tree, I guess, right? Most likely.
Unless he was secured in some way, yeah, I would think.
All right, so
Excellent move, Alessandra! And I run at him with the manacles.
this guy he puts his arrow in his quiver, willing to talk, and then he just timbers out of the tree, and then splat on the ground. But I think, oh no, it's not like when you take damage, it's gone. So he's just he falls in the exact position. So he's still kind of got his bow in his hand, poof, on the ground.
Vidar runs over as well to plant his big boot on the thing's chest while Ragnvold tries to secure it.
I tell Vidar, Strip it down naked, quick!
Unfortunately, it's not the first time he's heard this request, but he proceeds to strip the creature.
Alright, I manacle its hands behind its back to make it as difficult to try to pick the lock as possible.
Okay, no problem.
So it can make a wisdom saving throw to break the spell.
Okay.
I don't know if he would have the time after this giant's on his chest, though.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
at the
think
end of his turn.
right. I'm gonna say that
Yeah.
once the manacles are on, he'll get to try and do it, but there's no way before that.
Okay.
So let's see. Oh,
All
yeah,
the while,
okay.
these guys are they're strapping down this elf, or Sori is over snapping off the arrow on one side of the arm and like pulling out the arrow, and the wound is like gushing blood. So she rips off a small segment of her wolf cloak and wraps it up, all the while cursing. Pretty substantial wound. She's in a lot of pain and discomfort.
So you managed to manacle this thing. Its hands behind its back. And Vidar is stepping on its chest, which is like pretty heavy. Probably weighs about a ton. And the Elfer kind of starts to move finally. And he just like snarls something in a language you don't understand. And he's like clearly trying to get out of these manacles, but he's definitely not able to. He's like,
He says something I don't understand. Jack him in the face, and I say in Yoten, obey!
blood starts to pool from his nose. And he just spits in your direction.
I punch him again.
Bam!
I don't think we should spend any time longer in the forest than we need to, and I'm going to step off him, grab him, and throw him over my shoulder, and start walking to the direction out of the forest.
As you're walking, you hear him whispering something. He starts going.
I just give him a smack on the side of the head. Right on his ear.
So you guys, I'm guessing, are booking it out of here.
I'm going to...
I am. I don't know what the others are doing, but I'd stick
Yeah.
around just last time.
I'm getting out of there, but before I do, I am saying a prayer to Odin, and as I'm running by, I'm going to touch Sori's wound and use lay on hands.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as you guys are kind of sprinting out of this forest, you hear it again. The sound of a horn.
You see a horn appear in my hand.
Well, if
How-
they didn't know where we were at before, they do now. Thanks, Ringwald.
So you guys are sprinting through the undergrowth and stuff, and like it's hard going because it's very uneven ground, and
I'm kind of using him as a shield. I'm trying to use him to catch all the brush and stuff.
and it's probably, I would guess, 10 minutes into your run. You're about an hour into the place, walking slowly. So you're probably about half of the way. Now that you're running really fast, that you see come out of a tree about 60 feet away from you, this centaur creature. So it's off to your right, and it comes out of a tree as if the tree's not there, leaping out, and it kind of skids to a halt. It's got this really nasty looking sort of long spear in its right hand, and it comes out and kind of like tastes the air, kind of goes, and it then kind of paws at the ground, kicking up a bit of brush and stuff, and looks in your direction. And then it opens its mouth and makes the noise of the horn, and then it just starts to casually, slowly follow you.
Oh.
So at a trot, it's able to keep pace with us when we're like full running.
Pretty much.
Well,
Is it
I'm going
just
to
keeping
use.
pace with us, or is it trying to cut us off?
It's keeping pace.
I look at Vidar and say, "I'm the double, mister!" And I start running as fast as I can.
Yeah, I'm also sprinting at full pace. I assume that lay on hands healed me maximum, right? 9 hit
Yeah.
points.
Yeah,
The
all
wound,
nine.
the arm is healed up, so yeah, nothing's stopping me from running at my full capacity out of this place. My plan of maybe getting a centaur to take back the Jarl is as I see this creature again, I quickly changed my mind in that plan and came to the conclusion that the alpha will have to be enough. So I'm full sprinting.
Vidar as well. My base move is 35, so whatever that, I don't know, dash would be 70, I guess.
Yeah, you're outpacing us, so I'm going to be the last of the group leaving.
So this centaur is keeping pace. And as you run, you see more of them kind of come out of trees. Some of them, like on your left and on your right, just like boom, same kind of thing. They leap out and they skid to a halt and they kind of sniff the air and then they start following and they kind of form into a line behind you. And they don't seem to be like actually trying to get you. They're just following you.
Which makes Vidar even more nervous as he's just watching this herd of centaurs follow them.
Vidar, don't be troubled, friend. Don't look a gift horse man. Fuck it, let's get out of the tree!
So you guys can see the edge of the forest up ahead, and you're kind of coming up, and there's this particularly large, ugly old tree just at the edge, and out of it steps this thing, 15 feet tall, like a human, definitely taller, more slender, and it's got the features of an elf, except it has antlers, really, really large antlers. And it steps out and it says, "Stop." So everybody make a wisdom save.
16.
8.
Mine's 9.
Okay, you got a crit there, Troy?
I did.
Nice. Okay, so you and Alessandra are actually able to continue moving, but Ranvald and Vidar, you literally are incapable. You just totally stop moving, as if the command is like so powerful that you're unable to do anything else.
So my intent is to attack this creature. As I see my friends freeze at his command, telling us to stop, I'm still full sprint. I am going to draw my 2 short swords and attempt to attack it if I can get the opportunity to do so.
Okay. What about Alessandra? What are you intending on doing?
She runs on for about 10 feet and then stops and looks back. And she just pauses to see what's going on. And she kind of readies an action to see what his intent is at this moment.
Mm-hmm. This thing, it says, "You have come into my forest to capture one of my sons. You are uninvited. You have desecrated one of our sacred trees, and you have ruined one of our sacred glades. You are an enemy to the Alpha, and yet you return. Are you brave or are you stupid?"
A little bit of both.
Yeah, I don't answer. I'm not listening. to
Yeah,
anything
so
it's saying.
you're now pretty much in range for an attack if you want to try that.
Alright, so she's sorry, she jumps, trying to reach the abdomen or upper extremities of this 15-foot tall creature. She does a swipe with her longsword, and then in the pirouette as she comes around, she attacks with her left offhand. Same thing, short sword attack. Nat 20 with the first attack, and a nat fail with the second one. So,
So the
Alright,
first
so-
one cuts across the chest, leaves like a thin line of red. And, I mean, it doesn't seem to have done significant damage. And then as you go to attack with your second, this thing reaches out with a hand, grabs you by the throat, and holds you there.
oh shit.
That was not wise. And then throws you, slams you down to the ground. So I don't know, like 5 damage or something. And it says, I am the Thane of the Skogelf. You are not welcome in this forest. You will release my son. And if you do so, I will allow you to leave. If you ever return, I will flay your skin. I will eat your hearts.
So I look over, as I'm thrown to the ground and the wind is knocked out of my lungs, I look over to my 2 friends that were suddenly paralyzed or frozen from the command of this creature, just to see if they are still under the spell. Do they still appear to be enthralled?
Yeah, they do. They seem to be unable to move. They can hear everything that's going on. And you can talk, you just can't move.
Alright, I'm going to attempt to attack it again at my next opportunity.
Is there do we get to redo a save? Is it like once a turn?
Sure. If you guys want to go for it.
As I'm doing so, I'm going to say, even if we intended to follow your request, it would be kind of difficult when I am unable to move.
I got a 19.
Okay.
I got a 12.
The thing
So-
is, though, Lloyd, I feel I've broken it if that breaks it, but I don't move. I still act like I'm frozen.
Gotcha. Yeah, you do feel like you can move.
Did Vidar still have the alpha on his shoulder as he did, or did it
Yeah.
slump aside when he
He
was
still has
frozen?
Yeah, because I would have had like my arm wrapped around it. So
You're not even paralyzed as such. You just can't move forward or back. You know, you could like shift your position or whatever, but you can't go any further, basically.
But can I move my arms at all, or?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. So it says to you, as it throws Sorry onto the ground, I have offered you a deal. It would be wise of you to take it. I will kill all of you. It will not bother me to do so.
How far from the trees are we, Lloyd? Are the edge of the forest?
Probably like 60 feet.
Hmm.
I froze out. My bad. What'd I miss?
Oh, good. The Thane just basically said, I've offered you a deal. It will be wise to accept it. But he has no qualms about killing you.
I'm sorry. How far from the edge of the forest are we?
About 60 feet.
And he's directly blocking our exit at this
Exactly,
point.
yeah.
I'm up there at its feet where he threw me.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah. Seeing what it has done to Sari, and I imagine at this point we're probably surrounded by centaurs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If his arms can move, Vidar's not going to hesitate. He's not going to risk the lives of his friends. He's used them as, under his protection. That's part of his personality things, the way he views his companions. So he's just going to, in fact, he's going to, and rather just dump them, he's going to carefully just lift them off his shoulder and set them down,
Okay.
as he doesn't want to cause any repercussions towards Sari as she's right next to the thing.
So the elfer that you put down, he turns to the Thane and he kind of shouts something.
Oh, fuck no. I grab him around the neck and pull my hand axe and put it at his throat, hostage style. Breaking out of what he thought was this paralysis. Ha! And now I just have the blade right at his throat. Thane of the forest, Thane of the fools! You will clear and let us out, or I will kill your son!
I have many sons. And you have only one life.
I have many sons. My sons will kill your sons, and the sons of my sons their sons, and the sons of my sons of my sons the sons of their sons.
Your name is Reinwald. I will find every descendant that you have, every family member, everyone who's ever spoken to you, and I will destroy them. You'll be forgotten.
Bold words for a fish that can't leave a bowl.
Although I do admire his tenacity, and the role has been reversed, I will move to restrain Ringwald at this moment.
So when he body slammed Sori, Alessandra almost attacked him. Like the spell was on the tip of her tongue, and she had to bite it in order to not cast it because she thought that the outcome would be devastating.
Sorry, if you want to make an attack while you're at his feet, you definitely can.
I'm actually going to use my cunning action to disengage, and I'm going to use my movement and my dash to attempt to acrobatically get past him to the other side of him, if I could.
Okay.
I'm going to roll an acrobatics.
Yeah.
To see if I could do like a little roll or something.
Sure.
Crit fail. So you see Sori get up and like she's like kind of doing this little dodge move because she's having a terrible day. Apparently.
She's like still dazed from being slammed twice and just kind
exactly.
of.
So she's still huffing and puffing, trying to regain her composure, and she's tries to move through, and she tries to do like a roll between this guy's legs, and whatever happens, you take.
Right. You need to basically land on your back underneath this Thane, and he just lifts one of his feet and places it on your chest. You are deceptive, or at least you think you are. I see what you're attempting to do, Frey Soren. I know what you want to do. I can see into the future. I see myriad paths opening for all of you if you leave quietly and relinquish my son. The only path that opens for you if you bring harm to him or attempt to fight me is death.
I tighten my grip on the axe, and into this prisoner, Alfir's ear, I say, "Tell me now who you are, boy, or I swear to God I will slit your throat. This Thane, this king of the forest, didn't come here over some asswipe peon. Who are you really?" And I tighten it and push the blade into the side of his neck.
In really badly broken Iskloft, he says, I do not fear death.
It's not death you need to fear, Alfir. It is Odin.
He just doesn't respond. He is ignoring you. But you can see there's a bit of a grin in his face.
Alright. I am going to cast Turn the Faithless.
Okay.
I grab him by the back of the head, I squeeze the hair follicles, like the hair ripping out of it, pull it hard and say, Odin does not care that you're silent. He'll be seeing you after you're dead. And he needs to make a DC 10, I believe it's Wisdom. Yeah, DC 10 Wisdom.
Okay. Can you roll for me? Because I'm outside.
Yep. It's a 9 on the dice.
Okay. He does make it. If it's DC 10, He makes it.
I think, how close to the centaurs in the tree?
Um, like 30 feet.
I think all of them have to roll.
Okay, just roll once.
5.
Okay, so they begin to pad backwards away from the circle.
The blade is cutting into his neck so deep now you see like the Icarus Alpha blood falling and pelting the snow on the forest floor.
You see the Thane make a face for a second at the spell. He kind of just makes a grimace. And he sighs. Why do you make this so difficult?
Why do you care so much about one Alfir?
I care so much about every Alpha.
Lies!
You do not know much about the Fae. Clearly, about the fair folk. We do not lie. We cannot lie.
Well, then you are incompetent, for we have killed several of your kin, and yet here we are alive. And a grin strikes the corner of my face.
Do you wish for death, human?
I wish for what is mine. Glory.
So he, with lightning speed, whips out a hand and points it in your direction. So he's going to attack you.
I think I have 3/4 cover using the elf as a shield.
Yeah. So what does that do? It's a +5 to your AC, is it?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know what it does. Okay, so he's going to make 4 attacks. Why are you fighting this guy?
He's about to kill his son, man.
It's a crit. It's a crit and 2 hits. Okay. Oh, jeez. 29 and 12.
A flesh wound.
So
Okay.
41.
Now, what actually hit this? Because I'm using him as cover, so I'm guessing he just fucking pounded the shit out of his own son.
Yeah, went right through him. So it's basically like just this force, like sort of just like psychic force, I guess, that just buffets you, smacked into your face, into your body, everywhere. The elf in front is just instantly covered in the like angry welts and bruises, and he falls to the ground.
All right. Well, I move diagonally 60 feet towards the edge of the forest.
Are you still alive?
Did he step forward toward Dragonball when he made this psychic or attack?
He didn't move at all. He just raised his arm.
So he's still standing upon myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you still alive, Dragonball? That's incredible. How many hit points do you have?
I have 43.
Excellent. So, guys, roll initiative.
All hail Odin.
Alessandra says, "Stop! We come to surrender."
I wrote it with my initiative modifier at 20 on the roll, or 20 total.
I rolled 19.
Okay.
I got a 15.
And Vidar?
15.
All right. So, sorry, you go first.
Alright, so does this guy have any exposed skin, like a shin or lower foot? Like, yeah, he does. He's not wearing a lot of, like, clothing.
No.
Alright, so I'm going to attempt to... I'm kind of trapped underneath him, so my movement is kind of limited. So I'm going to attempt to reach back and grab one of the arrows that I had prepared earlier, and I'm going to try to stab him with the arrow with my hand into exposed flesh. So do you want me to roll that at disadvantage, being that I'm using an arrow as a melee weapon?
No, you're okay. I think it's going to be hard to miss from where you are.
So you're going to give me it as a dexterity attack.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's 24.
Okay. So
You're going to let me
arrow.
use that as a finessable sneak attack?
Sure.
So go ahead and describe it if you're not going to get me roll damage.
Well,
It's
like
also-
you can roll damage, but the poison has no effect.
Okay, very good. So we'll roll those damage then. But I will roll for sneak attack.
He was not expecting this much tenacity from you after getting your ass handed to you twice.
Right, fair enough. Okay, so that's 13 damage. That's on the first attack. Can I attack again with? No, that's it. That's probably it. I think. Then I would have to pull out another arrow. So let's just keep it at that. Yeah.
Cool.
So I pull out my arrow and like jab it into this guy's shin.
Yeah, he kind of looks down and sighs, and then he lifts up his foot and stomps. So I don't know if he can miss, but I'll roll it just in case.
Yeah, well, my dexterity wouldn't play into it, so my armor class would be 11.
Right. Yeah, okay. So, stomps on you. I'm going to say it's, I don't know, 3d6 plus his strength. Okay, 9, 10, 14.
So yeah, again, you hear the wind, me just as I get the wind knocked out of me as it stomps down on me.
So
But I'm still quite alive.
he stomps down on you, and he looks in the direction of Reinwald, who's trying desperately to get away.
Right.
And he reaches out a hand, and he makes a crushing gesture. So give me a wisdom save, please, Reinwald.
Oh man, I don't even get to act before he gets another move.
No, sir.
Oh baby.
How close are we to him?
Crit
at this point?
success!
Nice.
Oh, bam! That's what
So-
I'm talking about.
Whatever type of attack he was trying to make just has no effect at all, and you continue sprinting. You're probably within 30 feet of him, Dennis. And Alessandra is next. Oh, sorry, Reinwald, you're next.
I'm gonna leave the forest if I'm within range.
Mhm.
Boom! I bust out. I see the sunlight, ravens, feathers falling, and I'm like, yes! And I turn around and just tear off this like decorative tunic I have over my chainmail, and you just see it shining in the sunlight. And I touch myself and begin to heal my wounds.
All right, Alessandra, you're next.
I will. I don't know what the fuck to do. All right. I will cast aid on everybody
Okay.
on the party. Ringvold's out of the distance, but Sori and Valdar get 5 extra hit points.
Sweet. It's temporary hit points, right?
Just says 5. I'll cast it as a level. No, I can't. My bad. Yeah, it just says 5.
Cool. All right. Again, you see the Thane grimace when you use your magic. You kind of just, and then it's going to be Vidar's turn.
Is the Elfer still on the ground?
The Elver is dead. Yeah.
Oh, it's dead?
Mhm.
Well, that's unfortunate.
We need a new trophy.
You could bring this Thane guy with you.
Seems logical.
Well, no, I was gonna try to use it to negotiate getting out of there, but
Rangval strikes again.
Threaten to take the body back with us as a trophy.
so he's still got sorry pinned beneath his foot, correct?
He does, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Vidar's gonna move forward to the creature. Release my companion. Your son did not die by our hand, nor are those that remain in the forest responsible for what happened.
He died because of your actions. So the actions of your compatriot. But I tire of this. Enough violence. He lifts his foot, he stomps it down again, and he kicks Alessandra away. So, like another 5 damage, Alessandra, and or not Alessandra, sorry, and he kicks you away.
Okay.
Towards Vidar. And then he turns and starts to walk to the edge of the forest.
Towards where Rangval went to get his bathing in the sun experience that he just had.
The moment that he kicks sorry, Vidar's gonna charge forward, scooping her up in his arms, and just begin running full speed out of the forest.
Yeah.
So do I hear him coming? Do I hear like?
Yeah, you can hear branches and stuff snapping.
All right, I'm gonna move maximum distance 60 feet further out into the open, as far away from any trees as possible. And if
Okay.
there's an object behind, I'm diving behind it.
So you guys leg it out of the forest. Alessandra, I assume you run as well, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow behind the giant.
So you guys run out of the forest, and he gets to the edge of the forest, and he looks at Reinwald, and then he grins, and he puts a foot outside of the forest, and then another one, and he starts to walk out of the forest. And he says, Reinwald, do not think you are safe out here. I know where you are, where your sons are, where your daughter is. I know this. Think on that when you sleep this night. Think on that when you sleep every night. You have made an enemy here today. And then he walks into a tree.
I just remain dead
Disappears.
silent.
You guys made it out. Just about.
And the centaurs have already slinked back into the woods.
Centaurs ran away, yeah. They were terrified of the power of Odin.
But we didn't get the trophy we seeked. Just a
Nope.
dead body, which we've already brought to the Jarl, so that's going to offer us very little favor from him, I would think. But we are lucky to be alive.
I'm laying like propped up on this rock like a wounded warrior, my intestines hanging out of the chainmail, blood just painting the stone, and a raven lands next to me and starts like cawing and pecking at the rock.
So this thing was exuding power, I would assume. He was well beyond our capabilities.
Impossibly beyond, yeah. The fact that you're not dead is literally because he didn't want you dead.
Mm. And being stomped twice and thrown around like a rag doll, I got a pretty good sense of that.
Yeah.
What condition is Sari in? Can she walk under her own?
Yeah, I'm badly bruised, and I don't seem to have any outward bleeding or anything. Most of my injuries are just from being battered around. Metagaming-wise, I still have just under 20 hit points.
Yeah, so as long as you're conscious and can get around and stuff, once we've cleared the forest and gotten a good 60 feet away from the edge, Vidar will stop and set Sari down.
I offer you a nod and a smile and thank you.
Alessandra walks up to her and puts her hand on her shoulder and says, "I'm sorry, but if I had attacked, you would be dead." And then she heals Sori. And you feel your bruises and battered bones, the pain of them ease. And you will get back 13 hit points.
I see
Again,
you guys come out. I like cobble myself up using my spear as a walking stick, and spitting some teeth out of my mouth and wiping my face with a cloth. I say, "There, we have our fucking gift. It's not the gift we wanted, but we know a couple things the Jarl's gonna want to hear."
We've learned something about their hierarchy of power. Of this creature named the Thane, or calling himself a Thane.
And we learned that they're not confined to the woods, and I have a ghastly look on my face.
He also said that they can't lie. So that could play into handy. Though I'm pretty sure they're good with trick of the tongue, saying things that aren't what they seem.
The Jarl has already encountered these beasts and been beat back to his hold, according to the stories of those angelic figures we've seen. Maybe we can come up with a plan together. The information they gathered from their beating and the one we've just received.
So you guys would know myths and stuff about Alpha. They always they like have to tell the truth. They're incapable of lying. But just as you said, Alessandra, they are notoriously good at twisting words and bending meanings and stuff. So that even though they're not lying, they're definitely deceptive, in what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
With a semi-toothless grin, Reinvald says, "Shall we go bribe a sorcerer?"
Vidar looks Rangvald over. Can you even travel?
I'll be pissing blood for a week, but I'll manage.
All right.
So
Well,
how badly wounded are you?
I have like less than a quarter of my hit points after I healed myself.
So Alessandra nonchalantly walks up to you and sees you in this battered state. She takes her hand and she puts it on your shoulder and says, "It's a shame that you're so beaten and bruised and tattered. Tonight would have been a good night to lay together and celebrate life."
He just kind of stiffens up a bit. He's like, cracks his neck.
Yes, it seems Rangvald will have much to think on this night while he tries to sleep.
I've got like 4 broken ribs, like a shattered kneecap.
I'll heal you, but I'm going to let you suffer for a little bit.
Yeah, and yet you were the first one to escape the woods.
You
That did
ran
not
out
go
of the woods.
unnoticed.
Hey, notice how I absorbed a 41 damage attack? I'd say I paid my due.
I thought for sure you were dead.
so did I. I was stunned.
I was like, holy shit.
Thank
All
God
right.
for crit success.
So you guys seem to have decided you're going to go back to Bellator and the Jarl.
Most definitely. We don't
Like
want
ghosts.
those other...
Especially after those visitors.
Right.
So you guys get going, and you can get there pretty quickly and unopposed. And you can make your way pretty much straight to the Jarl's keep, his hold. And walking in there, you can see that the Jarl is sitting there, and he's clearly in bad shape. He has a bandage wrapped around his head, and you can see like cuts on his face. His arm is in a sling. Bellator is sitting with his golden mask on, which you now realize is very similar to the masks of those angelic figures that you had seen. But he's not wearing his robes, he's just wearing like a simple tunic, and his skin is covered in white scripture, all of it, like down to the fingertips, the entirety of his body. And he's also got several wounds, bandages, and things like that on. And the Jarl, he says, well, they're there, all right. Lots of them. We were overconfident. If it wasn't for Bellator, as men here, we'd all be feasting with Odin. It seems you've taken a bit of a beating yourselves.
Indeed, my good Jarl. We had a meeting with their Thane. And I hold my side as I cough up blood.
So Bellator steps forward and says, this threat is greater than a simple raid on a farm. It's greater than we think. We will need defenses. We will need allies. The Jarl and I have spoken at great length. There is a fortress. It's an old Jotun castle. It lies far in the north, where all of the Jotun holds once were. Raseri, it was called once. Go there and claim it for your Jarl. There may come a day when we need such a place.
You'll claim it.
Who resides there now? Is it under the care of someone? Will we meet oppositions?
It is a beautiful and a terrible place, a powerful fortress. I imagine something dwells there. What I do not know.
I'm imagining as he's saying, like, it's a beautiful, like, deadly, lethal place. The camera's slow panning in on Vidar.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I almost forgot. Is the Thunderwolf still with me?
It is. It followed you.
And if so, how does the Jarl seem to react to that?
Yeah, initially as you walked in, he kind of surprised, did like a double take kind of, like, what? But he hasn't commented on it. So the Bellator, he says, your payment for this task will be the gratitude of the Jarl and of myself. And furthermore, you will have command of this castle. You will, and then he grunts as a blade appears through his shoulder from behind, and 3 of the golden armored guards fall to the ground as if like a puppeteer had let go of their strings, just like crumple to the ground. And out of the darkness steps an Alfar. Actually, 9 of them. They have battle gear on. They've got furs and like all these totems hanging from them, and they have these skull masks with antlers. And they begin to battle the guards. The Jarl whips out a sword and prepares to fight. And one of the elves shouts, where the hell did I put it? It's in Irish, so I can't remember. Fuck. Okay, yes, one of the Alfar shouts, Be gach ceann did a tír boss. And they all scream it together. And that's where we'll leave it. Bam! Cliffhanger, motherfucker. Alrighty. So, thanks, guys. I hope you had a good time. I know it wasn't a victory, certainly, but that was kind of your own doing.
We live. That's victory enough for the day.
Talking tough is its own victory.
Thanks to Andrew Knapp, SR2 Joker, Dennis Kellogg, Troy Spencer, who is DMT Tabletop Gaming, and Christopher Caracella, who is Christopher Caracella on the YouTubes. I'm your LDM, and thank you for watching.